Hello, pitch invaders. Welcome back to another episode. I hope you guys missed us. We definitely missed you guys. We have a lot of games to cover. Uh, we'll cover the Liverpool win against Real Madrid and Man City since the last time we met. Discuss some of the interesting fixtures and games that went on, like the Chelsea Spurs game. Man City dropping further points, Arsenal, and we'll get into all of those fixtures. Look ahead, look at Liverpool still sitting at the top of the table, and we'll also discuss some hot topics. See you guys in a second. All right, Amir, welcome back. Good to have you. How are you doing?
I'm good, Max. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're still at the
It's
top of the
been,
table.
I know, it's been a long time. Believe it or not, it's been like almost 3 weeks since we last recorded, but
I know.
there's been a lot of action. Not so many changes, though. Things still feel the same,
It's
it looks
crazy.
like.
It's crazy that we've had three game weeks since then. Like
Yeah,
and we had Champions League in between that. So like the
yeah, we
amount of
did.
games that we have right now is crazy. And with Boxing Day,
Make,
I mean,
it makes me feel for the players.
yeah.
Now I feel their concerns about like their physical
hmm
state and mental state. It can be draining.
Dude, I was watching the Champions League game that Liverpool had yesterday and like you know how we look after playing for 3 hours? Like that's how it felt. Like it felt like such a draining performance. Like we were all just like they already did like 40 hours a week and now everything else is overtime. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
You guys still got the win though.
We did. It was scruffy, but it's just like at that point, just too many
Yeah.
fixtures. It's crazy. But yeah, man. I mean, we have so much to talk about. Uh, do you want to get into the first game, the Liverpool Man City game?
Yeah, we can talk about it, and if you want, we can we can take a look. Maybe we can put the spotlight on Liverpool for a
Yeah.
little bit because I honestly, you guys are in top form. Like I don't even think like in your best scenarios or best predictions at the beginning of the year, you would have predicted that Liverpool, we're in December, you guys are on top of the Premier League
Yeah.
and top of the table in the Champions League. You guys look like the best team in the world. You
hmm
players got chemistry. Salah is on fire. Van Dijk is probably in his best form
Yeah.
like in years. What do you think about that?
I think so. Number one, I like you said, I did not expect for first of all our defense to be as good as it has been. I think Slot has brought in a lot of like solidity in the back. That obviously it's the same players that we had, but like for some reason we're the second best, if not the first best defense in the league, like second to Arsenal. So I mean, it's that I did not expect, and then I joked about it in the beginning of the season. I did not expect Salah to be in such a form that he's in right now. I honestly was expecting a little bit of a dip because of the age, and we kind of saw like not the best like peak form as we did last season. So those two parts have really changed the team, and also other players stepping up like Gravenberch and Gapco. So I think all of that and Kelleher stepping up in Allison's injury, Kanate stepping up. So I would have not expected that we would be here. I thought there was going to be a big change. Usually, after you have that big manager leave a team, there's a dip. We saw it when Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United. We saw it when um, Wenger left Arsenal. Like, I mean, I can name all of these different managers that were there for several years. Once they left, we saw like a drop in the form of the team because they had to replace that coach. So we're not seeing that at all. So
Yeah.
uh, I still like. I mean, I'm savoring every moment. Being at top of the Champions League and top of the Premier League is kind of crazy, and we're going into Christmas and we're still in that position. So I mean, it's ours to lose.
Yeah.
And we've also been benefited by poor form from other teams like Arsenal and Manchester City. So that's also something we need to
I
mention.
I think so, but maybe before we transition to the other teams, I do have some takes on how like Liverpool are maintaining this form. And honestly, I want to give all credit to this guy Arne Slot because at the beginning of the season, like I had a very bad hot take that I said
Said he's gonna
he
get
would
sacked.
he's gonna get sacked or
That's funny.
this will be his only year at Liverpool.
Yeah,
But honestly, the way he has been managing everything is just fascinating. I look at this guy and I'm like, wow, this guy actually is a good manager
yeah.
before he's a good coach. Well, first he came to this team. You guys had a good team,
Hmm.
but we all know you guys needed some improvements.
Yeah,
However, you did not get these enforcements in the summer. Yet he still, I think he was able to study each player and know their capabilities, what their full abilities, what they can do best. And he is literally getting the best 100% out of each player.
for sure.
And I think it all, I honestly give him credit for his choices in terms of the players and the tactics as well. But it's something that is like the Liverpool team is not used to because I feel like with Jurgen Klopp, while you guys were playing that high intensity football, Jurgen Klopp had the ability to get 110 or 120% out of these players in certain moments,
Hmm.
but not always as consistent.
Yeah.
It will die off after a certain period of time. Like you guys could be on fire at the beginning of the season, then coming to the Boxing Day or after Christmas, like these guys
Yes.
are already tired. They've heard the same speech in the dressing room over and over. They just cannot do 100%. So their performance would drop to 80, 70.
I
But
completely agree.
with this guy, he just knows his players so well that his tactics are just getting that 100% from the players. I feel like every single time, even though if it doesn't look very good on the field, maybe for the naked eye, like you guys are still able. I feel like you can tell like in a 1v1 situation versus like skilled players, and that's what we have seen in the Real Madrid game, like Mbappe versus Connor Bradley. Who would have thought Connor Bradley would be stop
Have him
Mbappe
in
on
his
that
pocket.
left wing?
Yeah.
But Connor Bradley put his 100% versus maybe Mbappe's, I would say, like
So,
60% performance or so, and
yeah.
he could still beat him. And I think that's the best thing that Arne Slot is doing.
Hmm.
In addition to, in my opinion, his tactical choices are giving the team that rest that they need to recover during the game time. So when they come back the next day in the training ground, they're not fully exhausted because they just give everything they have on the field. You get what you want from the game, and then we're gonna actually control the game. We're gonna slow the pace. You guys are like this is not something that you guys used to do,
Yeah.
but you are able to control the rhythm and let the teams that play against you just follow.
Hmm.
And I think credit to Arne Slot, credit to the players for adapting so quickly to his new style. You guys are in a really good shape, I would say. I think that's the best Liverpool team. Like after like Klopp's first couple
Yeah.
of years, I think you guys should be very confident on hoisting a trophy.
I completely agree with everything you said. And the big word that sticks with me from what you said is the what we're his tactics and what he's doing is sustainable. Like we can sustain that over the course of the season. Like with Klopp, like you said, we may have like 4-0, 5-0, 5-1s, like high scoring, entertaining, high energy, like exerting a lot of energy, but you can't sustain that for the whole season. You know, luckily we were able to sustain it. You know, like in the past, but like you're seeing a lot of 1-0s, 2-0s, which is like that's we're getting the win. It's not super entertaining necessarily. We may be dominating the game, but it's not like let's fly on the wings and like let's like it's just exerting a bunch of energy the whole game. No, like we're playing smart and it's sustainable. So I completely agree like with what you said. So yeah, I mean, uh, I'm very happy to have him. I did not expect coming from Eredivisie to step up to this is, you know, from from Dutch to
Yeah,
British is a big difference, you know. So he's proven the haters wrong. I mean,
yeah. No, I think it's good, and especially looking at on the other side, maybe if we want to transition
yeah,
Man City.
Oh man, what's wrong? What's
Well, if
wrong, man? What's wrong?
I don't know. We predicted that I predicted that Liverpool was going to win, um, comfortably too. I didn't think Man
Yeah,
City were going to be any problem
I
to
think I said
Liverpool.
4-0 or something,
Uh,
so that was unrealistic.
yeah. Well, watching the game, I thought like maybe Man City looked better than what I expected, but I think it's about how Man City have been performing overall in the next few games.
Yeah.
Yeah, before and after. Um, and exactly the what we just talked about Arne Slot being able to get the best out of his players, and they seem that they're listening, is the total opposite is happening in that Man City dressing room. I feel like these guys are just they're worn out. They are not as interested and excited anymore to play for the team. Like
Hmm.
you feel they're not as energetic. Like we're losing two teams, we're getting scored on,
Yeah.
uh, and there is like a spectator or as a fan, I'm watching this team. All right, there isn't that urge to get the win or get the goal to tie it
Hmm.
or anything. Um, I I put the blame. I don't want to fully blame Guardiola. I think that there are some players in that dressing room that should have been gone in the summer,
Yeah.
and it's costing us a lot of like the harmony in that dressing room. If I can think of one name,
Walker,
I think Kyle Walker has been a disaster. Definitely. Um,
Gundogan, you said.
if Gundogan, he he's just I cannot expect much more from Gundogan. I think we're putting too much on his shoulders, and maybe that's not what we brought him for. But
I think you're
he
putting
found
a lot
himself
on,
in that
still
position.
putting a lot on Kevin De Bruyne's shoulders.
We are putting a lot on Kevin De Bruyne, and he's not in the best shape yet. But it just I don't know. Like I look at that squad. We have 20 like fit players, or maybe not so fit as well, and we don't have many options. Like every time, like with that starting like lineup, um, if you can ask me, like mid game,
Yeah.
is there anything that you can change, or a player that you can
I'm
bring
gonna say
on
no.
from that bench to change something? And I would tell you, no, they're all the same.
And
They're like
which
robots.
is crazy. We're talking about Manchester City. Like you look at the
Yeah.
Chelsea like bench, and there's a plethora of options. Manchester like Liverpool have options. So for Man City, like I don't mean to interrupt, but do you think it's a matter of like they need a fresh start? Whereas like when I mean fresh start, like new new system, new coach, new players, or is it a matter of like that you guys don't have enough rotation within your squad that's now? Because those are two different things. Like a fresh start,
Yeah.
the players that are there are old, like not motivated, they've already won, or is it a matter of you just need more players to rotate?
Well, I think, in my opinion, we definitely need like some fresh legs in that team. Like we talk about Kyle Walker, we talk about Jack Grealish, Gundogan, all of these guys. They've been with the team for so many years. They won everything, and they just cannot give any more. Um, they're not as creative, and I think it's I w- I want to say like training with Guardiola for so long, it makes you more systemized that you almost forget what you can do best.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's what I'm feeling for all of these players. Like these guys, except for their differences in the physical appearance, I feel like they're all now talented the same way.
yeah,
They're just like copy paste of the same players,
yeah,
except maybe I could say um, Duku is the only one trying something different.
yeah, yeah.
But other than that, even Erling Haaland, he's trying to be to help in the build-up. He's trying to help the team get out of pressure and everything. But these guys are just following directions.
Hmm.
There, there isn't a single player in that lineup that has the courage to break the system and try something different.
Yeah,
And I think this is costing us a lot.
yeah. I mean, is it? Do you think that it's time? Because if we remember, like when Guardiola came to the league and he completely changed the system. We've talked about it many times, how he was the first, I'm assuming, to use the in like inverted fullbacks and have them, basically as wingers essentially. Do
Yeah.
you think it's time that they change the system, like that's not going to work anymore, and
Yes,
that teams have found a way around it? Because like Liverpool, they found a way to fight against us. Like we were the high
mhm.
pressure system. We were the team that like just run, like apply all the pressure and make them like give away the ball, and like we will take advantage of it and we'll use the speed. But they found a way around that, so we had to change our system. Do you think it's time for Guardiola to give it up and do some other ideas?
I agree. I think it is time, like, to realize that we are no longer the team in control. Focus on building like from the back forward. Like I don't know like how like every single game now we're still being exposed to counters. We're not solid defensively. It's almost as if our defenders just forgot how to defend. They think they're more midfielders now than defenders. And of course, there is that big gap that Rodri left, but
Yeah,
it's been such a long time that I just cannot blame this injury anymore. Like we should have found a solution by now. And I think Guardiola did not manage this in the best way. So I think it is time to take a step back and build from the back forward. Like even if we are the team, like, even if we become a defensive team, at least don't concede, don't lose,
yeah.
and then we're gonna find a way to score. Um,
I want to.
but yeah, go
I was gonna
no, go
say
ahead.
I want to identify a couple players when I look at your lineup that I don't think are good enough to be in the starting lineup, and I want to get your thoughts. Okay, Savinho, Gundogan, Kyle Walker, um, Doku, Foden, Grealish. Oh, you're muted.
These are big names.
Well,
I don't
tell me,
know.
call me out. Foden has done nothing this whole season, and usually when we see a top player like that not perform, he gets dropped. Grealish has been a flop. I'm happy to say that. In his time in Manchester City, Savinho is not good enough. At least I can say that as a neutral. But you tell me your thoughts. Doku is not a consistent scorer. He's not consistent enough to rely on. And then you already called out Kyle Walker and Gundogan before. And the last name that I'm going to throw out, and I know I'm going to get killed for this, but I don't think you can depend on Kevin De Bruyne anymore. Not because he's not a good player. He is an amazing player. But I think it's time where I don't see a player that's like an apprentice to him that's ready to take his boots. Foden, we thought was that player, but obviously he's not in the same position and he's not playing the same role. So I really think it's time for like there to be an apprentice kind of, if you know what I mean, like somebody that De Bruyne would take under his wing. Because right now you guys are relying on a player that clearly the age has caught up to him. Like we've been saying he's not fit, and he's been on the bench for the past 2 months. So like I know it's a matter
Yeah,
because we're desperate to get him back, but my point is I think it's more than that. Like I think the age has caught up to him. He can score, but he's not a 40 match player anymore. Like he can't play a whole season. You know what I mean? There needs to be a lot of rotation. So
yeah.
I don't know. I'll share your thoughts on everything I said.
I agree with you about Kyle Walker, Gundogan, maybe Grealish, and not depending on uh, Kevin De Bruyne anymore. I do agree. Even believe it or not, he's still the most creative player out of
He
all of these
is.
guys.
He is.
Like watching him in the games, but I do agree that it is time to find someone who would take De Bruyne's position in that creativity and everything, and actually take that spot. Someone that we can rely on for the entire season. And there were talks about bringing in Gamal Musiala or Florian Wirtz and other players, and I think last summer should have been the time where we have brought these guys
Hmm.
on to help with the midfield. I want to add to the list Bernardo Silva. I think it's time for him to part ways with that City
Okay.
team. He's not adding or taking away anything. He's just taking a spot in the squad,
Yeah.
and I think it is time. I know we used to be that controlling team. We want to control every single aspect of the game, but I think is teams have already found a way
Yeah.
to beat us. So I would add Bernardo Silva to that list. I kind of disagree with you about Duco and Savinho, and the only reason why is Savinho still, I think he's still, this is his first year. He's a very skillful player. At the beginning of the season, it, he was chaotic. He was doing something. He added something different. But now he's yet adapting to that system. Like,
Okay.
oh, there are a few things that I cannot do, which Dooku struggled with at the beginning of last season because that was his first year. And now I feel like Duco maybe has developed a little bit. He knows when to do these things, and Guardiola trusts him
Okay.
with the dribbling and making some of these runs. That he has some freedom, maybe more than any other player on that team. And I think Savinho is gonna get there too. And like thinking about the future, when you have like if you are a team that no longer wants to be in control, like you just want to maybe neutral or rely on some quick counter attacks or like just play a traditional game with your wingers and everything. I think you need those skillful, fast wingers. Duco and Savigny could potentially fit in there.
Okay.
That's my opinion. About Foden, it's still a bit controversial, but I think what is happening with him, he's not fully fit yet, and I think mentally there is something else going on right now that he's not ready to come on the pitch and perform. And I honestly blame Guardiola for that, for not like uh, maximizing like what he has accomplished last year
Yeah.
for being the best player in the Premier League. But again, I think the whole team is struggling. Um,
Is that a
but
rebuild
yeah,
at this point?
I think it's time for a rebuild, a big one
I mean,
too.
that's like getting rid. We're talking about like offloading at least five players and bringing in at
Yeah,
least five new faces. Like
yeah, no, I agree. And honestly, I thought last year was the rebuild year when we replaced six players with another six players. But I think we need an even bigger rebuild, not just from like players and
yeah,
names, but I think in the dressing room, we need a rebuild on the mindset, how we're handling and managing the team and the tactics and everything. I think it's time for Guardiola to just go back to his book or like notes or whatever and invent something new,
yeah,
like that no one has thought about yet.
yeah. Well, let's see what they do, man. They lost the last. Well, in the last three games they lost two, tied one.
Yeah, and
So not looking good.
it's not looking good. I'm not expecting much this year. If we can get top four, I would be very happy
Yeah,
from this team.
yeah. All right. Well, you think you're ready to transition to another team?
Yeah, are we going to Arsenal now?
Let's go into
Team
Arsenal.
up,
Yeah, let's stick with the top three.
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Oh man, they dropped points when it
They
mattered.
drop they drop points, but believe it or not, they're somehow getting business done quietly a
Yeah,
bit. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see them continuing as a contender for the rest of the year.
no, for sure. I agree. I think so. The big takeaway, obviously, they had the win against Manchester United. For me, the big takeaway for me was that 1-1 draw against Fulham. Um, it just showed so. I mean, we already knew it, but it showed so much how heavily dependent they are on Saka and how there is no other true source of goals in the team other than him. Everything comes through him and by him, whether it's a penalty, a free kick, a chance. He's the one. It's maybe you get the off goal from Havertz, Odegaard, Martinelli. That's like an off goal. Like you get a goal from them one every 4 games, one every 3 games. But like it's a big problem because even the second chance that they had that got disallowed was a Saka goal, a header goal. Um, so like it just, they're definitely going to be title contenders, especially with that kind of strong defense that they have. But again, we've talked about it again. Their lack of creativity and over reliance on Saka for goals has still come back to bite them. And unless they address it in January with a signing, I don't think. I honestly, I mean, Chelsea's sitting on top of them right now, ahead of them.
Mhm.
I honestly would rather, I would say if Arsenal doesn't address this by January, then Chelsea's going to finish ahead of them. I think that's where we're at. Liverpool and Chelsea, obviously. But what do you think?
Yeah, I do think, well, they definitely have been breathing a little bit after Odegaard has come
For
back.
sure, yes. Yeah.
We're seeing some more creativity, and again, that triangle between Odegaard, Saka, and like whoever is the right back, I think it's a key for that team to score goals. For that Fulham game, I still want to blame Arteta for something because he like for a couple of games he's been trying Timber on that
Mm,
right back position, and he's been performing very well. Um, oh, excuse me. But in that Fulham game, he put Partey
yeah.
in that right back position. And again, come on, Arteta, if something is working and everyone has been praising it, please do not change it. But I know I do think they need a striker
Yeah.
in the winter transfer. I want to say they need to develop more attacking threat from that left side as well, which is
That's
where
Martinelli and Trossard, right?
Martinelli, yeah, Martinelli, Trossard, Declan Rice is also that CM or
Yeah.
Miguel Marino on that end too. This side is where like it's almost dead. Like if any team closes on Odegaard, Saka, and the right back on that team, you're guaranteed that you're not gonna get anything from that other side.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like if you're a plane, you're flying with just one one wing, not the other. The other is malfunctioning or something. But
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I think they need to work on that left side. Um,
No,
I don't know.
I think
I don't know if they want to bring another player, but they just need to work something out.
I mean we've argued about Martinelli. Martinelli has even lost his spot to Trossard, and honestly,
Mhm.
I'm still not fully convinced with Trossard either. Trossard is not. He's good, but I don't think he's a top three kind of team starter. Like I don't think he gets into Liverpool as a starter.
Yeah,
He's going into the bench if he's playing in Liverpool. Um, so I do agree with you. I think the left side is they need to rely more on. It can't just all come from the right. Like it can't all come from Saka and Odegaard. They're both on the right. Like the left side is where they should have like some option. But Martinelli and Trossard between them, Trossard has 4 goals, 2 assists. I mean, that's pretty dreadful. Martinelli has 4 goals, 2 assists. So
yeah,
they both have combined less than Saka. So I mean, yeah, I their defense though is fantastic. I mean, even with Gabriel gone, I still think Saliba was able to hold up, and they're missing 2 other like regular starters there, Ben White and Calafiori. So like they're missing 3 of their main defense, and they're still able to hold their own. So against Fulham it was amazing this season. So um, yeah, I'm not completely marking them off. I think they're in better form than Manchester City. I think they just need to try to pick up some form in attack. Um, and January is very close. Even if it's a loan, like even if they get a loan deal for somebody, I think it's enough where it will keep the other strikers on their toes. Like maybe having
yeah,
another player behind Havertz, where Havertz doesn't feel like he's always in the lineup. That kind of helps sometimes, knowing that you may get benched. Like I don't know, maybe like when I think of when Haaland had behind him, he had Julian Alvarez. Like it would always keep him on his toes. Alvarez scores a hat trick, doesn't matter. Have Haaland is going to score 4 and he's going to stay in the lineup. Like you know what I mean? That competition helps.
yeah.
So maybe that's what they need. Like more competition, more faces that can compete in the front. Um, that's definitely what Manchester City needs. I'll tell you.
I agree, and I think there's been a lack of creativity in those big teams in general
Yeah.
for some reason. But for speaking of creativity, I've been hearing a lot of complaints about this Arsenal team that they're turning into Stock City
Yeah.
or Stoke City for
Yeah.
for relying on
That's funny.
like free kicks or corners
Yeah.
for their goal. It's an important weapon if you know how to score from it. By
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
means, if it secures those wins
Yeah.
and get you
I might
points, why not?
I might have to get in contact with Arteta and tell him Darwin Nunez is available for loan if anybody needs him. Maybe that will help.
I know. Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to consider that offer, but yeah,
Well,
maybe they should go scout like Osimhen from Turkey for like half a season
yeah,
or
bro.
something.
Well, that's all I had to say about Arsenal. Do you want to say anything else, or you want to get into?
No,
Um,
I kind of feel like they're confident in what they're doing now.
yeah,
I think they're going to be there by the end of the season, but we'll see.
I think it's definitely not over. I think it's going to be a long season. I think they're very few points back from us. I mean, you know, two games and it could be flipped. They could be back in second, 4 points behind us. So it's really not that big of a difference now. I do think they're going to be fine. I don't, but I do think when the games are tough and when they have to scrape a win, you need a striker at that time. When the games are neck and neck, 0-0, 1-1, like you need a player to step up, and it can't always be Saka. It's not, like we said, it's not sustainable. So,
Yeah, no, I agree.
but yeah, I agree. So, well, I think there's no other better team to go to than Chelsea, who I I cannot believe that we're saying this. If you told me this 2 years ago, or like at the beginning of last season, the fact that Chelsea is sitting second place right now kind of blows my mind where we envision where they were before they got Palmer last season. At the beginning, I think Palmer came in last, he would play in the Community Shield and then he left, right?
Yeah,
The change in this team from then to now is ridiculous. And the manager has done such a good work in the little time that he has. I mean, uh, like I'll let you go, but they're sitting second place. They are 2 points ahead of Arsenal. Um, they are 4 points behind Liverpool, who have a game in hand, and they literally have two squads. They have a team that can play in the Europa League, is what they're in Europa League,
they're in the conference, I
Conference
think.
League, and then they have a whole
Yeah,
other team that can go and play in the Premier League, and all the players in both teams are amazing. Like um, the strategy that Chelsea used to buy all these players, we kind of mocked them. Everybody mocked them, and they're spending all this money, and like they don't know what they're doing, and they spent like 150 million, and they're still like in 12th place. Well, for some reason, right now it's all paying dividends. Like they have all these
yes.
young players, their future looks bright, and they have one of the best midfielders probably in the league after Saka, or maybe in line with Saka. So I don't know. What is your thoughts on Chelsea, and did you expect them to be sitting second place this early?
Not in second place. I did expect them to do very well this season. But I want to quote maybe my friend David actually because I
Yeah,
had to reach out to him. I was like, okay, I mean, you're a Chelsea fan. I don't watch all the games. What is your like? What do you feel about this team? And he told me something that maybe all Chelsea fans can agree about that this year there's a passion. There is something about this team, the players. There is such a spirit in that team that they want to get the win. They want to do something.
yeah,
They want to prove everyone wrong. And in my opinion, I think it all started by how Mariska managed this team
yeah,
by wiping out all of the guys that were just not like part of the team individually, like that we're getting paid so much money, all rejects from other clubs,
hmm
and sending them like to like If we talk about Sterling, he went to Arsenal. We talk about other players too. Like I think he cleaned
Lukaku.
that yeah, Lukaku, he cleaned that dressing room and he just kept the guys that he can work with
Yeah,
or the guys that can actually be part of a team. And I think that was an important step that he took at the beginning of the season,
completely agree.
and now it's paying off. If we talk about tactics, I don't think Mariska's tactics are that complicated, but they do rely like Palmer. If you ask me who's the main man at Chelsea, I'll definitely say Palmer is leading this team, and this kid is just he. I don't think we have seen something that good from an English player
Yeah,
that is so promising in so many years. He just has something different about him, his personality. Like think about that Spurs game, like being down 2-0 at the beginning of the game, and then you flip the game, you win it, and 4-0, like you turn it into 4-2 score, but you're playing away and you get a penalty that could
oh my
potentially
gosh.
like it's gonna put you ahead of Tottenham,
And you do a Panenka.
or like and do a Panenka and like and then you go
The
celebrate.
the coolness, bro. The
I know
coolness.
it's I it kind of he has such a personality. It reminds me like he's like a he's an English player with such an like South American
Yeah.
like type of personality, like a guy that doesn't care about
He has the
anything.
aura.
He
Yeah.
he does, and yeah, he's so young. There is so much potential ahead of him, and it's good that Mariska is. I think everyone in that team understands this is the main guy,
Yeah.
and everyone else we're doing our job. We're gonna follow, and we're gonna fight for this team, for everything that everyone has talked really bad about this team in the past few years.
There's
But I
so
think this,
many routes for goals in this team. Like
yes,
it's Palmer is the source. He's the architect, but like that's also they're the most attacking team. I don't know the stats, but I mean they are the most attacking team from what I can tell. That they have so many high scoring games and so many different players score. Like Jackson, Sancho, Fernandez, Palmer, Neto, Madueke. Like there's so many sources for goals. It's kind of ridiculous how many goal scorers they
yeah.
have. Um,
And I think they are focusing on getting a spot in the top four. They're
yeah,
focusing on being potentially a title contender. I think it's still early for that team,
yeah.
but if they continue in that form, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to be in second, or if Liverpool like drop any points, they could be there as well. But yeah, I think the fans feel it. The team is they're gaining that confidence back. I think we're gonna like leading to Boxing Day and even after the second half of the season, this team will just continue in that form. I don't see them stopping anytime soon.
I'm really fearful of this team. Um, and I don't mean that lightly because I have a feeling, and I really hope it's not true, that this team could turn into like a powerhouse that could dominate the next 3, 4 years. Like if you look at that lineup and how many young stars there are in the first team lineup and in the second team, it's ridiculous. And like I'm scarred with how much Chelsea dominated. Like I don't know, like 2008, like in between Manchester United's era, they dominated as well with Drogba, Anelka, and you know Anelka, Maluda, like all of those players. I if we see Jackson, Palmer, like Neto, these kind of players dominating, it's a fearful lineup. Like obviously their defense is still shaky and they still leak tremendous goals. Like they haven't kept a clean sheet. Maybe they have two or three, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm with Manchester City starting to peak down. It might end up turning being like the top three is Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea moving forward, and it's going to be one of those like they keep hopscotching every season. One wins, the other one switches. It could be one of those because they're looking very dangerous
Yeah,
moving forward.
I agree, and I think if they could use some improvement in defense, I think that's the only thing they're lacking right now. But I am sure Mariska is gonna find a way to improve that defense. And I do agree with you. They look like an overpowered team in the future. I,
Yeah,
yeah, the future is bright for Chelsea. Hate to say
I
it,
know,
but
man. I
yeah.
never thought I would say that. But honestly, as long as it's not Manchester United, I'm okay because I hate Manchester United more than Chelsea. So I would rather have Chelsea than Manchester United.
So should we talk about Manchester United right now, sitting
Let's get
in?
in. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get into fifth place and sixth place. Quote unquote. They're not really fifth and
Yeah,
sixth place, but Spurs and Manchester. But let's start with Manchester United.
I
Um,
mean, Ruben
uh,
Amorim. I don't know
uh,
what to say, but
well, okay, we got to give him some credit. I mean, we saw 4-0 against Everton, and then you know he's brought in. I mean, some players have been rejuvenated. Diallo Ahmed has been playing good. Fernandez, Rashford played a little good. He got benched after Hoyland and Zerkzee got some goals. So like the team is looking bright. I still think there's several problems, but I think he needs the time now to address those. Like we see the poor defense. Like I mean, the defense does not look as good. Midfield, like center mids, still struggling with like the holding play. So there's definitely work that needs to be improved, and I think he needs the time to do it. But I mean, I don't see any big red flags from the first opening games that he had. I mean, um, yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
well, I think the problem with this team, and we've talked about this so many times, that it's much, much bigger than just the squad or the coach.
Yeah,
Like we're talking about a team, they just fired their sporting director, which
yeah,
they recruited 6 months ago.
it's crazy.
Like when we talk about big projects, like if you think about Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and you say they bring in a new sporting director. This is like at least a 5 year project. Like this guy is gonna come in, bring his players, bring his coaches, or like at least work out a strategy with the coach on how we're gonna build this team in the future
Hmm.
and what like we're gonna set our goals, how like which trophies we're gonna try to compete for, which trophies are less priority, and to bring someone in at the beginning of the summer and then fire him or like replace him 6 months after, it tells me like this team still needs like a rebuild
Yeah,
from the inside, like from the boarding, from the directors,
these are new owners too.
mentality.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. But speaking of how Ruben has been dealing with things, I mean, it's still too early, of course, to say
yeah,
anything.
exactly. Yeah,
I do, however, in his reactions during the games, maybe he didn't think it was really that bad.
yeah,
Like you see him holding his head so many times. He's like speechless on the touchline. But in his press conference, he talks like some sense. He says that there are problems in that team. Manchester United is a big club, but it's no longer a big team or a big squad as
yeah,
well,
yeah,
which are things that I think every Manchester United fan needs to hear because with a new coach, they put the expectations very high up in the sky, but it's good that he is
yeah,
already saying these things so they know what to expect. Um, they can just pick pick up a form where they win a couple of games, maybe tie a couple. They they probably can get in a position to play in one of the European competitions next year, but they
yeah,
definitely need some rebuild um, within the squad too. I think these guys they need a couple of players in defense for sure.
for sure.
They need some players in midfield with some creativity and players that would give you a solid display week in week out. And just figure out how you're gonna deal with that attack. Like if you're gonna rely on Rashford, you're gonna play with Hoyland, you're gonna bring another striker for 100
Yeah,
million. I don't know. But yeah.
I think the tools are there, like in terms of the squad players. I do agree with you. There's a lot of changes that need to happen above team and manager level, but like we're not even going to get into that. I mean, that's and that may probably never even happen. Like who
Yeah.
knows? But I think like I look in the lineup, I look at the squad, and I think that there's players there that are game changers. I think given the right player development and kind of player coaching, these players could turn out good. Like these are young. I mean, De Ligt is only 25. Lini Euro is only 19. Like these are promising players. Like they have the Hoyland is only 21. There's definitely a lot of promising players in that team. Um, I just think they need the time, and I think it's not going to be a overnight project. This is kind of reminds me of like an Arsenal 2-year project before we see anything. Like if you remember, Arsenal were kind of a laughing stock when Arteta
Hmm.
took over, and they struggled, and they were finishing. They were in like eighth, 12th place. Well, they had the worst start to the season in like 15 years. I remember before. Like it's going to be one of those. Like it's going to take a couple years, like before we see a team that is consistently finishing in like Europa League, like top six. Um, but yeah, mean, I'm excited for them. You don't like I said, I hate to see my rivals completely trash
Yeah.
because then I can't enjoy it as much when we beat them. You know what I mean? I like a game that's competitive, but if I'm just playing and Garnacho, is the only player that I have to fear, I'm not really going to be worried.
Yeah, I just don't know for next week, Man U versus Man City. It's gonna be a different vibe this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll,
gonna I'm gonna call it whenever we do it, man. I'm gonna call it, but Manchester United may win this.
yeah, I don't know. We'll leave that
We'll
for
get into.
predictions. Yeah.
Do you want to get into Tottenham, the last team?
Yeah, I mean, with this team, I don't know what else to say,
Oh my
but
gosh, dude.
yeah.
Let's just. Can we just? Let me just. Let's see. They beat. What was the fixture that I'm looking at? They beat Manchester City 4-0. All right, we went a little bit further back. Then they tied against Fulham 1-1. Lost against Bournemouth 1-0. And then they lost against Chelsea. They had a 2-0 lead, and then they lost to Chelsea 4-3 over the weekend. Uh, what a I don't know. Circus is not the right word. What a roller coaster of a team, and like credit to whoever is a fan of this team because like they're probably having heart attacks and having like amazing days. Like Manchester City beating them 4-0, yeah, and then you go and lose 1-0 to Bournemouth. Like such an opposite, and I don't know where to begin. But what do you think?
I don't know, man. I don't. Well, I kind of want to blame Postecoglou for
I
some of
agree. Yeah,
that, but I want to refer back to his words at the beginning, and maybe even not just Postecoglou. I think Antonio Conte and Mourinho said this. It's all about the culture of this team.
mm,
What kind of culture are we trying to develop, or like what is the sense that we're giving out to the fans by these
yeah,
results and by this
yeah,
performance? Like, what are we playing for at this point? There isn't they're not showing like a winning streak where they win a couple of games
yeah.
to give some promises and good performance, and then they lose due to luck or like injuries or anything. It's just like you cannot make up anything about this team.
Hmm.
And I want to switch back to Postecoglou, and I want to blame him for being such a stubborn coach. And
Yeah,
he's worshiping his play style that I think, and that's my sense that he's probably going to be sacked very soon.
oof,
These
big
kind
call.
with these kind of losses again, like against like your one of your biggest rivals, Chelsea, and you're being two nil up at home, and then give it away like that, and
Yeah,
it just these are the things that really affect the dressing room so much that he may lose it very soon. And yeah, I don't see a way that he can fix this back. It's been too long.
he has a
Uh,
lot of injuries. I mean, we have to mention that as well. I mean, Romero and Van de Ven both got injured as well in the game. Um, but I agree with you. I think his, like you said, stubbornness. Like you have a 2-0 lead that you got gifted to you, pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't completely be surprised if they park the bus. Like if this was a Mourinho Spurs, they will park the bus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but to concede 4 goals is the complete polar opposite of parking the bus. Like the they leave so many gaps in their defense because the way that they play, that there's so much gaps and there's so much last ditch defending that the defenders have to run back, have to try to catch the Chelsea players, and that's not the way to play like that. Like you can't leave all those gaps and those openings for the other team to just run. Like, and I think the biggest problem is after they concede, there's no change in system. Like they never change the system. It's this is how we're playing. This is what we're doing. Like no, like tweak some things. Like what was the substitutes he brought? Like he changed 2 defenders because of the injuries, and then changed the center mid and Kulusevski and Brendan Johnson. I guess was the only other. Like I mean, I don't know. The substitutes not really attacking Archie Gray, Dragusin, James Madison, and Werner, I guess. But I don't
They're
know. I don't
they're
see.
attacking. I don't know. And because of his way of style, his defenders are always injured. Like they're
Yeah,
not resting at all, and that's part of the blame I put on Pep Guardiola for letting our defense just like be open so, and we're playing so much like such a high line all the time, and we're getting so
yeah.
many injuries. There is
It's
a
not
trend there.
sustainable to do that, man. They should be changing the system. They should be fluid to change things in the game,
Yeah,
like in the middle of the game. Like I mean, that's what the best managers do. They call the captain or they call a defender over, and like I've seen Pep Guardiola say like do this thing on the
yeah,
sideline, like move his hands, and then they'll change the structure. Not nowadays maybe, but like
yeah,
before, they would change things up and it would make a difference. Um,
yeah.
I want to call out one player that I got very disappointed with during the game was Heung-min Son. I and I know he didn't have the best season last year either, but this is a shadow. I mean, he got 17 goals. Like I can't say that, but this is a shadow of a player like from what we've seen in the past few seasons. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists. This is Son who we're talking, who got the golden boot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's 32. He missed a couple golden chances in this game that could have put the game to bed when it was still tied or they were still winning at that point. And he wasted them. He wasted so many chances, and he had one disallowed goal. But regardless, he's supposed to be the person that they look up to, and he disappointed. He was disappointing. Um, I know that's not the. I don't mean to point him out necessarily. The defense is definitely the biggest flaw, but if Heung-min Son would have put those away, that would have been the difference. They could have won that game. So I don't know. There's a lot of problems, but
I agree. I think thinking of Spurs and their culture, even back in the day, they need that English guy to put the armband on and
yeah,
like Sol Campbell or someone like a solid defender, just put the armband on and carry this
yeah,
team like for a couple of years and get like a
yeah,
cup or something. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Oh my gosh,
we'll see what's gonna happen with this team.
man. Well, I mean that was all the teams. Do you want to talk about any more, or are you ready to get into the predictions after
Let's,
this break?
let's get in predictions.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back. See you guys. All right, welcome back. All right, Amir, let's get into these predictions. Before we get started, let's get into the recap of the score line, the running score. Just to remind you guys, 3 points for guessing the correct score and winner, 1 point for guessing the correct winner, and 0 for the wrong score and wrong winner. So, unfortunately, I have to start. I only got +5, so I'm sitting on 79 points for this season. Christian has taken over the first place.
You got lucky.
He
Christian
got
is not here with us
Oh my
today.
gosh. Thank God. +7 for Christian. So he's on 8 right now. and then we have Amir with another crazy
Come back.
week. Plus 10 for Amir. I did not expect that, Amir.
I
Plus
know.
10.
I think a couple of
So
weeks ago, like the difference between me and you was like what, 24, 25 points. Now we're
and
talking
you've
about
completely bridged
talking
that gap.
about 4 points, a 4 point difference. So
That's crazy.
hopefully, Man City
Um,
can come back the same way uh, in the second half of the
yeah, funny.
season. But
That's funny. And then we got to get a big shout out to Evanub, who was our guest speaker last week. He got a plus 9, so that is a pretty impressive score predictions.
yeah,
So, all right, well, let's see what we can do this time. Let's see if I can get back in first place. Amir, you ready to get into these predictions?
let's do it, Max.
All right, so game week 16. We're going to start with Saturday morning, Arsenal versus Everton. Amir?
I want to say I think it's going to be a 3-1 win for Arsenal.
All right. I'm going to go with a 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, I think they're back
Okay.
in there. All right, Liverpool versus Fulham. What do you
You
think?
you start. You start on this one.
All right, I think we're going to continue the winning run. I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1.
Hopefully, Jota is back in this game, potentially even as a substitute, and he can score a goal.
Yeah, and this game is at Anfield too. You guys rested last weekend because of the postponed game.
That's true, yes.
I
We had the Girona, though, midweek.
yeah, I think it's gonna be 2-1 Liverpool.
That seems fair. Okay. All right, Newcastle versus Leicester. The Leicester who has changed since Van Nistelrooy has come.
I
They're a new
know
team. That's a tough game. What do you think, Amir?
Newcastle hasn't been very good either lately, right? I can't remember
Yeah,
what.
I mean, just that 3-3 against Liverpool was really the highlight.
Yeah,
They'd lost points again after that.
I think that it's gonna be another tie for this team. Um,
Okay.
I want to say I'm gonna go 1-1.
I want to go with the. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm going to go Leicester City win 2-1.
Okay,
Um, all right. Wolves, who are in desperate need of a win, and also
same for
versus
Ipswich.
Ipswich. So
Yeah,
it's really, I don't know, what is that, 19th versus 20th
yeah,
at this point? Or no, 18th versus 19th, I guess, because
I think
Southampton's
so.
last. Go ahead, relegation battle, me. What is the score?
I feel like with these games, it's almost like a high scoring one, and I think Wolves are gonna be able to score a couple of goals. You know what? I'm gonna go 4-2 Wolves.
Oh my God.
Whatever.
Oh my gosh. Um, there has to be a winner in this, doesn't there? I'm, I think Wolves has to win this. I'm gonna go 3-2.
3-2. Okay.
All right, and a little bit crazy. I think you kind of peer pressured me in that one.
I know.
All right, Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa.
You
Um,
you go on this one.
so Nottingham Forest didn't they just win, or is that was that who did they play?
Let's see.
I'm trying to let's see.
They
They
just beat Man U, didn't they?
okay. That was the
Yeah,
yeah. You're
3-2.
right. All right. You know what? Um, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Nottingham win.
2-1. All right. I think I'm gonna go 1-1 for this game.
I had that in my lip,
Yeah.
but I decided to stick with Nottingham. Okay, I think that's true. All right, Brighton versus Crystal Palace. Pretty good game.
I haven't
Crystal Palace
been
looking a little better than recent times.
Yeah, I haven't been following Brighton though for the past couple of games. They seem like they're giving me Spurs vibes, but um,
Yeah, they're not like the firing guns like they were when Welbeck was on
yeah,
fire in the beginning of the season. Not the same.
I think I still think Brighton is gonna win. I'm gonna say 2-1 Brighton.
Yeah, I have the. You know what? I have the exact same scoreline. I'm gonna go with
Okay,
2-1.
2-1 Brighton. Is Welbeck back
Oh,
or is he still
I think
injured?
he's on the. I think he's on the bench.
Oh, he's
I
now
think he's
benched.
back.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, all right, the biggest game, if we can
Oh.
call it that, of the week. And Manchester City at home against Manchester United. The Manchester Derby. Amir, you have to go first. What are you thinking?
Well, the fact that Man United have a new coach, uh, and it's Ruben Amorim who just beat Man City with a sporting team.
That's true.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling, but it's gonna be a shame if we lose the derby at home after this performance. I would expect some guts from the players and try to get the win. I'm gonna say two
Hmm.
zero Manchester City.
Oh wow,
That's a
that's
hopeful,
bold.
yeah, that's a hopeful score from a passionate Man City fan. Come on,
I'm
boys, we can do it.
gonna go 1-1.
One
I think
one.
it's gonna be a boring game, to be honest.
I hope not.
Um, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh, okay. Chelsea versus Brentford. I would argue probably the most highest scoring teams. Probably. I mean Chelsea. Brentford's been crazy as well.
yeah.
Um, I'll start with this one. I think Chelsea will continue, but I think they will concede as usual. I'm gonna go 4-2.
Wow, it's gonna be a big one. I think I'm gonna say 2-2 actually.
Okay.
I would with this Brentford team, they still tend to be solid defensively somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Thomas Frank has been doing really good with this team, and I must say, I'm sorry, guys. I'm so tired of this guy in Buemo. Like this guy shouldn't be scoring that many goals. Come on.
I know.
And I'm just tired because maybe because Christian has him in fantasy, and I'm just tired every time Christian posts about it in the group
Oh my
chat
gosh,
that
that is
Bono has
annoying.
scored. I'm like, oh my god, not again. So
Luckily, I have Wisa, so like it kind of takes away that. But yeah, and
my god,
Buemo's. I feel like he overperforms for how he play. Like he's not even that crazy of a player.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just like, why Buemo, and why does
yeah.
Christian own? He's like Christian always
Uh,
have those picks every year. Like
yeah,
this
Kofta
guy, yeah,
players.
this guy's
Yeah,
just gonna, he's gonna score like 10 plus goals
yeah.
every year. I'm like, how?
That's funny.
Anyways,
Uh, okay. Um, very interesting game, and it could be Postecoglou's job on the line. Southampton versus Spurs. 20th place, Southampton, I must say. Amir, is Spurs going to win this, or are we going to another loss again?
I honestly cannot stop laughing from how entertaining this game is gonna be. Um, I don't know. Yeah, let's give Southampton the win. Bye
No
bye,
way.
Angie.
Oh my gosh. All right, now I'm gonna go with a scruffy 2-1.
2-1 Spurs.
Yeah. I,
All
I was
right.
thinking they're going to keep clean sheet, but I think now that there's injuries in the back, I don't think so.
I'm gonna.
Uh,
I didn't say an exact prediction, so I'm gonna go with 1-0 Southampton.
okay. All right. The last game Monday evening, I guess here, Monday night there.
Yeah,
Bournemouth versus West Ham, and this also could be the Lopetegui's job. I think indefinitely. If he loses this, I don't think they're going to
yeah.
give him another chance. So, what do you think?
Bournemouth have been in great form lately, and they've been solid defensively too. I think I'm gonna say Bournemouth for the win, 2-1, and bye bye Lopetegui.
All right, I'm actually going to do the opposite. I'm going to say West Ham get another win, 2-1,
All right.
and Lopetegui continues to barely get by.
Yeah, Max, you do
Uh,
realize that whoever predictions are like whoever prediction is gonna be higher or like is gonna win this week, probably gonna go above you if my
yeah,
predict. I
honestly.
think we went the opposite in every single game, almost the
Oh
opposite.
my gosh. Yeah, I mean, and we'll see what Christian has to say.
Yeah,
Maybe we don't have to take Christian's score, so he automatically stays in.
no, he's gonna be
Yeah, 81
disappointed.
points.
Yeah, but
Oh man. Well, Amir, that was a very entertaining episode. I enjoyed a lot breaking down all those games, talking about Manchester City and Chelsea and Liverpool. Um, Manchester City continue their losing streak. Liverpool still at the top of the table, uh, and we move forward. Amir, any closing thoughts?
no, I leading to Boxing Day, it cannot get any better than this.
Let's see. Let's see how the Manchester City Derby turns out, and if Liverpool stays at the top of the table. Thank you guys again. Shout out to George Mustry for creating the music for this podcast. Please like and share it with all your friends on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube Music. And we hope to see you guys next week. See you
See you
guys later.
guys.